Family Constellations is, as its source, in a number of different psychotherapies, including psychodrama and the philosophy of phenomenology and structural family therapy. However, the way it's evolved includes not just therapeutic orientation, but also it's got its kind of connections with shamanism and other kind of more esoteric approaches. So it does depend a little bit on who the facilitator is and what their emphasis is. What is in common with Family Constellations is that we're working with the extended field. It's a unique way to be able to incorporate intergenerational influences, and it can also work with organisations and different levels of organisation. There's quite a few different applications of it, but essentially it's working with the complexity of the field in a way in which we can embrace all the elements. We can include, well, not all the elements, but the most important elements, because it's very difficult to work with complexity, and that's usually the reason people simplify. And certainly one-to-one therapy is the classic form of working with people's problems. But Family Constellations gives us an opportunity to work with much more of a system without needing to accumulate all the family members in one place as family therapy does. In fact, we can bring in grandparents and great-grandparents and that type of thing. So the Family Constellation work allows us to focus in on what parts of the system are most relevant to someone's particular issue, and to make some interventions in that, which generally will lead towards some sort of change or some sort of movement. Now, that movement might be a matter simply of awareness, and I say simply, but awareness is quite profound, and the kind of embodied, three-dimensional, deeply emotional awareness that comes out of Family Constellation work tends to be quite transformative in and of itself. The emphasis in Family Constellation work is really on being more fully with what is. And so that's one aspect. But we also work with the structure of the system, because some structures in systems and family systems work better than others, and as Hellinger says, allow the love to flow more. So we're also interested in these structural elements, and we work with them, because often a lot of dysfunction, or as it's called in Family Constellations, entanglements, result from kind of various imbalances and where parent and children subsystems kind of get all mixed together and things like that. So that's another kind of benefit that comes out of it, is a better understanding, a better connection with the balance of the family. Now, also often what happens, we find through the constellation work, is that people tend to represent other people who might be excluded in some way, and that often leads to negative consequences for those individuals, sickness or suicidality or all sorts of other problems. So when we kind of map out those invisible lines of connection and make it clear, that frees individuals to no longer be loyal to the system in the way that they were, but to find new ways to be in the family system that are healthier for them. So that's another kind of benefit that can result as people get freed up from kind of being, as it were, having to play out a certain set of symptoms or a certain lifestyle in order to, in some very subtle way, honour other elements of the family. There's also a lot of insights that come about through working with family constellations. People come to understand the connections between different aspects of their family and the family background that they might not have understood before. And sometimes those connections are very strong and very close. And another benefit that comes from that is that there's a lot of resources which exist in families which sometimes people are not actually fully in touch with. So it allows people to identify and to come closer to those resources. So all that's done through the use of representatives, and that allows us to sort of witness the unfolding, as it were, of the family drama, and to make interventions which are more difficult with people themselves, because we're all a bit precious about how a family is and kind of insistent that it in a way stays that way, even though we also long for it to change. So the use of representatives allows a kind of freedom in the work, and then usually at the end we will bring in the client themselves and they can experience the change that's gone on. Family constellation work also, because it involves representatives, the representatives themselves often get a lot of benefit from being a part of that constellation. They get insights into their own work and their own family, and they also get to play a role as a kind of service, if you like, to someone else's family, and that's very powerful. Now, I mean, family constellation work is very useful for people with therapists. Anybody who's working with family systems is fantastic, because it really gives a lot of insights and understandings of how the systems work and how to intervene in them. But it's also very useful and relevant for people who are not necessarily trained as therapists, but simply want a deeper understanding of who they are and their own family system, and how they might be able to make important changes in their life and deal with difficult issues.
Thank you.